I wanted to make a quick video update while I had a quiet second. So not last weekend, but the weekend before, I work at a hospital and I was at work, and we have these scanners that we can hear the security people talking to one another, and we heard something happened in the parking lot where somebody came in to the hospital. They waited too long to come in because everything that's going on there, we're kind of being told like not to go to the emergency room unless you basically have issues with the virus, and unless it's like a serious an emergency. So the hospitals, well, the one I work at has been pretty dead. There's not a lot of people on the med-surg floor that I work on, so it's been pretty quiet. And I noticed that every time I'm working, there's really nobody in the ER. Just a few people here and there, and they're getting tests done, and they're coming out negative, and they're going home. So I'm not really seeing an influx in people that are coming in like they claimed was going to happen on the news. Our hospital even went and ordered a morgue on wheels, so to speak. It's like a makeshift morgue on wheels, because the CDC was telling them that we're going to have a lot of dead people. Like, we're going to have a lot of bodies, and our hospital wouldn't be able to have that many in their morgue. So they ordered one, and I don't even think anybody has died with this so-called virus. And there's only 7 that are even on the unit that are positive, and I don't even believe that all of them are positive with the virus. I know that 2 out of the 7 are under something else, some kind of respiratory infections or ammonia type thing. I don't know. But that's just my personal opinion. I'm not really sure. But there's 7 in total, and that number has not gone up in 2 weeks. So we have a lot of people coming in that are getting tested, and they go home because it comes out negative. So, and what I'm hearing, I guess, is that doesn't change. If you're being tested, then they don't change it when it comes out negative, which makes the number seem a lot higher than it is, but it also is a little bit ridiculous. The fear that the media is spreading is nowhere near like that from, the state that I live in. So not last weekend, but the weekend before, with everything going on, people are not going and getting help when they need it. So this is exactly what happened to these people that came in. They waited too long. The person had like COPD or something like that. They waited too long to come in. They couldn't really breathe, and the person literally needed to have CPR done on them in the parking lot. They stopped breathing, and before I left, I went to see what had happened, and the person had died. And so the video that I had watched on Steve's channel about the lady, the nurse saying, people are being told not to come into the hospitals, and they're at home having like silent heart attacks and things like that. And I know firsthand that that is absolutely true. And also, I'm going to add one of the videos that I had done a few weeks ago when I was like driving around trying to see what everything was like with knowing that the military and stuff, or the National Guard, was being called in. So I was kind of trying to see like what was going on in my area, and I had my cousin go into a local hospital in our area, not the one that I work at, in the waiting room, to see how many people are in there and what if they would let her in. And they didn't even let her in the front door. She didn't even make it all the way into the front door, and they told her she couldn't come in there, and there was nobody in there. It was really weird. And we went to New Hampshire and saw some other hospitals out there, and like they had these tents set up for people coming in to get tested. There's nobody in them. Our hospital was so dead last weekend when I worked. There was only like 2 or 3 people in our ER, and they go home because they're being tested. They're having symptoms, and they're coming out negative, and they go home. Well, the funny thing that happened when I was at work last weekend is I was taking care of somebody all weekend. They were clearly having issues. First came in for something unrelated to this virus, but they were seemingly having issues. I'm not really sure how to explain it. I don't want to give too much information, you know, HIPAA laws and all that, but I took care of this person all weekend, and then Sunday, it was like Sunday night in the middle of the night, and all of a sudden they thought that maybe this person was having respiratory issues and they wanted to get them tested for the COVID-19. So then all of a sudden they're on droplet precautions, and I couldn't go in there anymore, and I was just in there like 5 minutes before that. And so they put the sign on the door, and then the nurse was the only one basically in there, because she is the only one on the floor at that time that was fitted for, you know, the sheet, the mask with. So they ended up wheeling the person down to get a CT scan done to see what was going on with their lungs. And they were being tested. And before I left, it ended up being negative. But I wasn't really sure what would happen if it was positive, because I know that I was taking care of that person like all weekend. And so I was just curious what was going to happen if it was positive. So I asked the charge nurse, I was like, so if this person is positive, what happens next? And then they were like, oh, well, you'll have to get tested. And then when you get tested, if it comes out positive, then you'll have to stay home for 2 weeks. And if it comes out negative, then you're fine. You know, basically, if it comes out positive, you'll have to stay home for 2 weeks. You'll get paid for it. But if it comes out negative, like, you're fine. And I was just like, oh, that light's driving me nuts. And I was just like, what if you don't want to get tested? Like, what if I don't, like, I refuse to get tested? Like, I'd rather just not. And she basically looked at me irritated and was like, well, if you refuse to get tested, you won't be able to work here. And I was like, what? So if I don't want to take a test, I won't be able to work here ever again, or just for 2 weeks? And she was like, just looked at me funny and was like, probably never again. Like, why wouldn't you want to get tested? And I'm like, who knows what they're swabbing in your mouth? And, you know, how they even do the test is weird. We don't have them on the floor. Like, if we want to test somebody, we have to call down to the lab and they send us up one, and then they send it back down. We don't know anything about it. Like, I'm not putting something in my mouth. I don't know what it is and where it came from. Like, I'm all set with that. But I'll also, attach the clip of what happened when we tried to walk into the hospital too. So, but yeah, that's kind of what happened. And then last weekend, and then, just everybody that's been coming in, which isn't a whole lot. It's been pretty dead, quiet. Nobody's, you know, coming in, like, people are coming in, but it's coming out negative. Everybody's tests are coming out negative. There's no influx. There's no rise in, you know, sick people everywhere. And people are acting like idiots out there, like going to the store with their masks and like getting mad if you walk near them. And like, people are just so afraid. And it's just unbelievable, like, how much people literally believe everything they're told on the news. It's unbelievable. And I'm just so ready for this stuff to be over and people to act normal. Like, I can't even deal going to the store and having to like wait in line, you know, just to get in the door. And then they're telling you how many of what you can get. Like, you can only get one thing of eggs, and there's no toilet paper anywhere. I'm on my last roll. It's like insane. And I can't even walk in the door because there's literally people in the doorways, like ushering how many people can go into the stores, and then like not allowing you to walk in unless like the person in front of you is like totally out of the way. And then, you know, even the cashiers, like having these walls built up and then like a line of where you can put your stuff. I went into CVS or Rite Aid the other day, and this guy had a huge table in front of where you go to pay in the cashier. I couldn't even reach the card where you swipe your card because the table, I'm short, but the table was so like blocking the way to the point where I couldn't like reach over the table to even swipe my card. I'm like, I'm just not even going to bother buying anything from here. This is ridiculous. I mean, it's just the measures people are taking. I mean, it's just crazy. But anyways, thanks for watching, subscribe, and you guys want to know anything in particular, just let me know. Bye.
I do not. Wait, must enter. Oh no, sadly, I don't know.
Actually, you cannot, because this is like
Okay.
super, we're not letting anybody in here unless it's, I do need to be seen by the emergency room.
No, I literally, were driving by, I literally just about to pee my pants.
Oh, you don't wanna come in here for the
Okay,
restroom.
all right.
Sorry, I would use the woods.